And these were the priests and the Levites who came up with Zerubbabel, son of Shealtiel, and Yeshua, Seraiah, Yirmiah, Ezra. Okay, I'm going to skip over all of those names to verse 7. And these were the heads of the priests and their brothers in the days of Yeshua. And the Levites, Yeshua, Benui, Kadmiel, Sherebiah, Yehuda, Mataniah, over the thanksgiving, he and his brothers. And Bakbukiah and Uni, their brothers, were opposite them for guard duties. And Yeshua brought forth Joachim, and Joachim brought forth Eliashib, and Eliashib brought forth Joiada, and Joiada brought forth Jonathan, and Jonathan brought forth Yadua. And in the days of Joachim, the priests, the heads of the fathers' houses were of Seraiah, Meraiah, and Yirmiah, Hananiah. Okay, I'm going to kind of skip down to verse 22 because that's a bunch of names. The Levites, the priests in the days of Eliashib, Joiada, Johanan, and Yadua, were recorded heads of their fathers' houses, also the priests in the reign of Dariavesh, the Persian, the sons of Levi, the heads of the fathers' houses, until the days of Johanan, son of Eliashib, were written in the books of the annals. And the heads of the Levites were Hashabiah, Sherebiah, and Yeshua, son of Kadmiel, with their brothers opposite them, to praise, to give thanks, opposite watch, according to the command of David, the man of Elohim. Mataniah and Bakbukiah, Obadiah, Meshullam, Talmon, Akub, were gatekeepers, guarding the storerooms of the gates. These were in the days of Joachim, son of Yeshua, son of Yotzadak, and in the days of Nehemiah, the governor, and of Ezra the priest, the scribe. And at the dedication of the wall of Yerushalayim, they sought out the Levites in all their places to bring them to Yerushalayim to perform the dedication with gladness and with thanksgiving, and with singing, cymbals, harps, and lyres. And the sons of the singers gathered together from the countryside around Yerushalayim, from the villages of the Netophathites, and from the house of Gilgal, and from the fields of Geba and Azmaveth, for the singers had built themselves villages all around Yerushalayim. And the priests and Levites cleansed themselves, and they cleansed the people and the gates and the wall. And I brought the rulers of Yehuda up on the wall and appointed 2 large thanksgiving choirs to go to the right on the wall toward the dung gate. And after them went Hoshea and half of the rulers of Yehuda. Then Azariah, Ezra, and Meshullam, Yehuda and Benjamin, and Shemaiah, and Yirmiah, and of the sons of the priest with trumpets, Zechariah, son of Jonathan, son of Shemaiah, son of Mataniah, son of Micaiah, son of Zakur, son of Asaph, and his brothers, Shemaiah and Azarel, Milalai, Gilalai, Ma'ai, Nathanael, and Yehuda, Hanani, with instruments of songs of David, the man of Elohim, with Ezra, the scribe, before him. And at the fountain gate, and straight ahead of them, they went up the stairs of the city of David, on the stairway of the wall beyond the house of David, as far as the water gate eastward. And the other thanksgiving choir went against them, and I behind them, with half of the people on the wall, going past the tower of the ovens as far as the broad wall. And above the gate of Ephraim and above the old gate, and above the fish gate, and the tower of Hananel, and the tower of the 100, as far as the sheep gate. And they stood still at the gate of the prison. Then the 2 thanksgiving choirs took. Turn the page. There stand in the house of Elohim, and I and half of the deputy rulers with me, and the priest Eliakim, Asaiah, Miniamin, Micaiah, Elio, Enai, Zechariah, and Hananiah with trumpets, and Asaiah, and Shemaiah, and Eleazar, and Uzi, and Johanan, and Milkiah, and Elam, and Ezer. And the singers sang aloud with Yizraiah in charge. And on that day they slaughtered great slaughterings and rejoiced, for Elohim had made them rejoice with great joy. And the women and the children also rejoiced, so that the joy of Yerushalayim was heard far away. And on that day some were appointed over the rooms of the stores, for the contribution, for the first fruits, and for tithes, to gather into them from the fields of the cities the portions required by the Torah for the priests and for the Levites. For Yehudah rejoiced over the priest and the Levites who stood up. Both the singers and the gatekeepers guarded the charge of their Elohim and the charge of the cleansing, according to the command of David and Shlomo his son. For in the days of David and Asaph of old were chiefs of the singers and songs of praise and thanksgiving to Elohim. And in the days of Zerubbabel and in the days of Nehemiah, all Israel gave the portion for the singers and the gatekeepers a portion for each day. And they set apart what was for the Levites, and the Levites set apart what was for the children of Aharon. On that day was read from the book of Moshe and the learning of the people, and in it was found written that Ammonite and Moabite should not come into the assembly of Elohim forever, because they had not met the children of Israel with bread and water, and hired Balaam against them to curse them, although our Elohim turned the curse into a blessing. And it came to be, when they had heard the Torah, that they separated all the mixed multitude from Israel. And before this, Eliashib the priest, having authority over the storerooms of the house of our Elohim, was a relative of Tobiah. And he had prepared for him a large room where previously they had stored the grain offering, the frankincense and the utensils, and the tithes of grain, the new wine and the oil, which were commanded to be given to the Levites, and the singers, and the gatekeepers, and the contributions for the priest. But in all this I was not in Yerushalayim, for in the 32nd year of Artashashta, sovereign of Babel, I came to the sovereign, and after some days I asked leave from the sovereign to return. And I came to Yerushalayim, and learned of the evil which Eliashib had done for Tobiah, in preparing a room for him in the courts of the house of Elohim. And it was very displeasing to me. Therefore I threw all the household goods of Tobiah out of the room, and I commanded them to cleanse the rooms, and I put back into them the utensils of the house of Elohim, and the grain offering and the frankincense. And I learned that the portions for the Levites had not been given them, for each of the Levites and the singers who did the work and had gone back into his field. Then I contended with the deputy rulers and said, why is the house of Elohim forsaken? And I gathered them together and set them in their place. And all Yehudah brought the tithe of the grain and the new wine and the oil to the storehouse. And I appointed as treasurer over the storehouse Shelemiah, the priest of Sadok, the scribe, and Pedaiah of the Levites, and at their hand was Hanan, son of Zakur, son of Mattaniah, for they were reckoned trustworthy, and it was on them to distribute to their brothers. Remember me, O my Elohim, concerning this, and do not wipe out my loving commitments that I have done for the house of my Elohim and for its charge. For in those days I saw in Yehuda those treading wine presses on the Sabbath, and bringing in sheaves, and loading donkeys with wine, grapes, and figs, and all kinds of burdens, which they brought into Jerusalem on the Sabbath day. So I warned them on the day they sold food. And men of sword dwelt there, bringing in fish and all kinds of goods, and sold them on the Sabbath to the children of Yehuda and in Jerusalem. Then I contended with the nobles of Yehuda and said to them, What evil matter is this that you are doing, profaning the Sabbath day? Did not your fathers do the same, so thus our Elohim brought all this evil on us and on this city? Yet you bring added wrath on Israel by profaning the Sabbath. And it came to be when the gates of Jerusalem were shaded before the Sabbath, that I commanded the doors to be shut and commanded that they should not be opened till after the Sabbath. And I stationed some of my servants at the gates so that no burdens would be brought in on the Sabbath day. And the merchants and sellers of all kinds of wares spent the night outside Jerusalem once or twice. And I warned them and said to them, Why do you spend the night around the wall? If you do so again, I lay hands on you. For that time on they came no more on the Sabbath. And I commanded the Levites that they should cleanse themselves, and they should come guarding the gates to set apart the Sabbath day. Remember me, O my Elohim, concerning this, and pardon me according to the greatness of your loving commitment. In those days I also saw Yehudim, who had married women of Ashdod, Ammon, Moab, and half of their children spoke the language of Ashdod, and could not speak the language of Yehuda, but spoke according to the language of one of the other people. Then I contended with them, and cursed them, and struck them of them, and pulled out their hair, and made them swear by Elohim, saying, You do not give your daughters as wives to their sons, nor take their daughters for your sons or yourselves. Did not Shlomo, sovereign of Israel, sin because of them? Among the many nations there was no sovereign like him, who was beloved of his Elohim, and Elohim made him sovereign over all Israel. Even him foreign women caused to sin. Should we then hear of your doing all this great evil, trespassing against our Elohim by marrying foreign wives? And one of the sons of Yoiada, son of Eliashib, the high priest, was a son-in-law of Sanballat the Horonite, and I drove him from me. Remember them, O my Elohim, because they have defiled the priesthood and the covenant of the priesthood and of the Levites. Thus I cleanse them from all that is foreign, and I appointed duties to the priests and the Levites, each in his task. And for the wood offering and the first fruits at appointed times, remember me, O my Elohim, for good. Hey guys, welcome back. We're on Nehemiah chapter 10. As you can see, there are a lot of names listed immediately here. I'm going to view these names for you, but I'm going to read the parts above and skip the names, read the part, skip the names, because that's just a lot of name reading. All right, chapter 10. And those who set their seal were Nehemiah the governor, son of Hakaliah, and Tzedkiah. Okay, and you see all those names. We're going to go to verse 8. Maaziah, Bilgai, and Shemaiah. These were the priests. And the Levites, both Yeshua, son of Atzaniah, Benui, of the sons of Henadad, Kadmiel, and their brothers, Shabaniah, Hodiah, Kelita, Pelaiah, Hanan. All right, and then it lists all these names all the way down to verse 28. And the rest of the people, the priests, the Levites, the gatekeepers, the singers, the Nethinim, and all those who had separated themselves from the peoples of the lands unto the Torah of Elohim, their wives, their sons, and their daughters, all who had knowledge and understanding, were strengthening their brothers, their nobles, and were entering into a curse and into an oath to walk in the Torah of Elohim, which was given by Moshe, the servant of Elohim, and to guard and to do all the commands of Jehovah our Master, and his right rulings and his laws. Well, isn't that interesting? I've certainly never noticed that before. The land unto the Torah of Elohim, all who had knowledge and understanding, were strengthening their brothers, nobles, were entering into a curse and into an oath to walk in the Torah of Elohim. Well, that's a strange way to have worded that, isn't it? Which was given by Moshe, the servant of Elohim, and to guard and do all the commands of Jehovah our Master, and his right rulings and his laws, and that he would not give our daughters as wives to the peoples of the land, nor take their daughters for our sons, and that if the peoples of the land bring wares or any grain to sell on the Sabbath day, we would not buy it from them on the Sabbath, or on the set-apart day, and we would forego the 7th year and the interest of every hand. And we imposed commands on ourselves to give from ourselves yearly 1/3 of a shekel for the service of the house of our Elohim, for the showbread, and for the continual grain offering, and for the continual ascending offering of the Sabbaths, of the new moons, for the appointed times, and for the set-apart offerings, and for the sin offerings to make atonement for Yisrael in all the work of the house of our Elohim. And we cast lots among the priests and the Levites and the people for bringing the wood offering into the house of our Elohim, according to our fathers' houses, at the appointed times, year by year, to burn on the slaughter place of Jehovah our Elohim, as it is written in the Torah, and to bring the first fruits of our soil, and the first fruits of all fruit of all the trees year by year to the house of Jehovah. Also to bring the firstborn of our sons and our livestock, as it is written in the Torah, and the firstlings of our herds and our flocks to the house of our Elohim, to the priests attending in the house of our Elohim, and that we should bring the first fruits of our dough and our contributions and the fruit from all kinds of trees, of new wine and of oil, to the priests, to the storerooms of the house of our Elohim, and the tithes of our land to the Levites, for the Levites should receive the tithe in all our rural towns. And the priest son of Aharon shall be with the Levites when the Levites receive tithes, and the Levites bring up 1/10 of the tithes to the house of our Elohim, to the rooms of the storehouse. For the children of Yisrael and the children of Levi bring the offering of the grain of the new wine and the oil to the storerooms where the vessels of the set-apart place are, where the priests who attend and the gatekeepers and the singers are, and we should not neglect the house of our Elohim. Now the rulers of the people dwelt at Yerushalayim, and the rest of the people cast lots to bring 1 of 10 to dwell in Yerushalayim, the set-apart city, and 9/10 were to dwell in other cities. And the people blessed all the men who volunteered to dwell at Yerushalayim. And these are the heads of the province who dwelt in Yerushalayim, but in the cities of Yehuda, everyone dwelt in his own possession in their cities. Yisrael, the priest, and the Levites, and the Nethinim, and the sons of Shelomo's servants. And in Yerushalayim dwelt certain of the children of Yehuda, and of the children of Benjamin, of the children of Yehuda, Attiah, son of Uzziah, son of Zechariah, son of Amariah, son of Shephatiah, son of Mahalalel, of the children Peretz, and Maaseiah, son of Baruch, son of Kol Hoseh, son of Hazahiah, son of Adiah, son of Yoyarib, son of Zechariah, son of Shaloni. All the sons of Peretz who dwelt at Yerushalayim were 468 brave men. And these are the sons of Benjamin: Salu, son of Meshulam, son of Yoved, son of Pedaiah, son of Kolaiah, son of Maaseiah, son of Ithiel, son of Yeshaiah. And after Gabai, Salai, 928, and Yoel, son of Zikri, was their overseer, and Yehuda, son of Senua, was second over the city. Over the priest, Yediah, son of Yoyarib, Yakin, Seraiah, son of Hilkiah, son of Meshulam, son of Sadok, son of Merayoth, son of Ahatub, was the leader of the house of Elohim. And their brothers who did the work of the house were 822. And Adiah, son of Yeroham, son of Pelaliah, son of Amsi, son of Zechariah, son of Pashur, son of Melchiah, and his brothers, heads of the fathers. Houses were 242. And Amashai, son of Azarel, son of Abzai, son of Meshalemoth, son of Immer, and their brothers, mighty brave ones, were 128. And their overseer was Zabdiel, son of the great ones. Also, of the Levites, Shemaiah, son of Hashub, son of Azrikam, son of Hashabiah, son of Buni, and Shabbethai and Yozabad, of the heads of the Levites, over the outside work of the house of Elohim, and Mataniah, son of Micah, son of Zabdi, son of Asaph, who was the leader, who began the thanksgiving with prayer, and Bakbukiah, the second among his brothers, and Abda, son of Shamua, son of Galal, son of Udathun. All the Levites in the set apart city were 284, and the gatekeepers, Akub, Talmon, and their brothers keeping guard at the gates, were 172. And the rest of Yisrael, of the priests, Levites, were in all the cities of Yehuda, each one in his inheritance. But the Nethinim dwelt in Ophel, and Siha, and Gishpa, were over the Nethinim. And the overseer of the Levites at Yerushalayim was Uzi, son of Bani, son of Hashabiah, son of Mataniah, son of Micah. Of the sons of Asaph, the singers were over the work of the house of Elohim. For the sovereign's command was upon them, and support for the singers a matter day by day. And Pethiah, son of Meshezabeel, of the children of Zerah, son of Yehuda, was the sovereign's deputy in all matters concerning the people. And at the villages with their fields, some of the children of Yehuda dwelt in Kiriath Arba and its villages, and in Dibon and its villages, and in Yakabzeel and its villages, and in Yeshua, and in Molada, and in Beth Pelet, and in Hatzor Shual, and in Beersheba and its villages, and in Siklag, and in Mechona and its villages, and in En-Rimmon, and in Sora, and in Yarmuth, Zanova, Adulam, and their villages, in Lachish and its fields, in Azekah and its villages. So they dwelt from Beersheba to the valley of Hinnom. And the children of Benjamin from Geba, Michmash, and Ayah, and Bethel and their villages, Anathoth, Nob, Ananiah, Hatzor, Ramah, Gittaim, Hadid, Zeboim, Tabalat, Lod, and Ono, and the valley of craftsmen, and the Levites. And of the Levites the divisions of Yehuda were for Benjamin,